here with atlasworlds.com. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you so much for your contributions so far. I also wanted to show you some of the cool stuff we're working on right now. I'm going to kick it over to Jake, who's going to show you a little bit about our Connections Manager.
Hey Mark, thanks so much for the introduction. My name's Jake, and I'm one of the developers here at Atlas Worlds. Let's dive into what we've been working on.
Alright, so here we are in Atlas Worlds, and one of the first things that I want to show off is the ability to add collaborators to a world. Now, adding a collaborator will actually allow us to identify people we want to help us build out our worlds, manage our entities, and manage our connections, and then that person will actually be able to help build our story with us. So I'm going to go ahead and add Mark as a collaborator to Undabar, my world. So doing that will allow me to actually add in Mark, and when he logs in, he will actually see Undabar as one of the worlds that he can manage. Now, I of course can remove this access from Mark as well, and one of the things that we are not allowing collaborators to do is remove the original owner of the world. So once we've assigned our collaborators, we can go ahead and actually step into our world and manage it. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, coming into this view here, we are actually going to be able to manage the settings of Undabar. And we have several different options of things that we can actually do here. The first of which is just kind of looking at the different entities that actually exist in our world. Now, this is a quick filter, so we can of course search for anything such as see all of our locations. Or if we were looking for something very particular, say perhaps Kiara, we can of course start typing in Kiara and she will pop up. We can of course click on her and manage all of the information that we have about this character. Now, we also have screens specifically for detailing out these different entities and being able to kind of identify very quickly the different entities that you have in your world. Now, let's step into the feature that we're really excited to show off here, and that is our connection map. Now, when we look at our different connections, we're going to actually see a grid of all of our entities kind of laid out and the different connections that tie them each together. Now, we have a couple of different symbols here, and I'm going to actually toggle on our group feature to help us identify kind of exactly what these different symbols mean. So turning on the group feature, we can see that we have kind of this hexagon looking shape here, and we'll see that these are actually all of our individual locations. Now we can of course zoom in and out on this, and we can move the grid around however we want and reposition anything in any such way. Now we kind of have this rounded shape here, and these are going to denote all of our different characters. And so again, this kind of shape here is going to be all of our different characters. We'll jump over here into our items, and we see the items are kind of a diamond looking shape, and then we have quests, which are kind of this pentagon shape. Now, one of the things that we absolutely want to kind of show off, and the things that we are really proud of, is when we actually select an entity, we can see that the name of the entity pops up, and then if we kind of drag out, we will be able to see the relationship between essentially Beldor's tomb and, if we look here, Yonto. Now, Yonto is a character, and we can identify that by his shape once again, and Beldor's tomb is a quest. Now, we don't have much going on here, and this is a very simple entity connection, but let's say for an instance that one of the quest items of Beldor's tomb just so happens to be our Book of Neverfrost. Now, what I can do is I can actually click and activate any of these different entities and draw a line connecting another one. And that is going to pop up our Connections Manager, and we are going to say that the Book of Neverfrost is the quest reward given when completing Beldor's tomb. Now, sometimes we'll have different words here kind of detailing out which connections kind of make sense. So for this one in particular, maybe quest reward is appropriate, and we'll look at potentially a different one. So then we can go ahead and save that, and we'll see that we actually get a connection here. And when we look at it, we will be able to see all of this information detailed out. Now, we talked about adding collaborators, and something that I want to just kind of show is, let's say you're managing your entities, and in the meantime, one of your collaborators adds an entity. Well, we're going to actually be able to see that we get instant live updates with this. And so I'm going to have Mark actually throw in a brand new entity, and we'll see where that pops up on our other world. Okay, so Mark is ready with that update, and as soon as he actually saves that character out, it's actually a location, we'll see that that immediately popped up on my graph let's say that this is all the information about the city of Dunbar that our party already currently knows. Now, what I can do is I can kind of position things exactly how I want them. And then if we actually click on this little setting icon over here, what we can do is we can actually toggle on all of our entities, toggle them off. And let's say this is enough information that we know that we've currently unlocked for our different party. Well, what I can actually do is I can decide to take a photo. So when I click this, it's actually going to download just what's currently in that viewport, and we'll now see that we have the ability to very quickly share out images that are pertinent to our party or pertinent to different parts of our campaign. So I want to show off how we can actually utilize the graph to modify our connections. So we can see that currently Kiara Cross is the quest giver and the secret boss of the Danger at Bellwether Inn. Now let's decide that this was a mistake and this isn't actually what we wanted this to be. Perhaps Kiara Cross was supposed to be attached to a different quest and we just simply made a mistake. So we can actually undo any of these by just double clicking on any of the lines here, and we can actually remove this connection. And so when I remove this connection, we'll see that that actually goes away, and I now have the ability to connect Kiara to maybe a different quest, such as Beldor's Might. And so now I can say, yes, she is the quest giver and the secret boss. And then once we save that, we'll see that we actually get a new connection here, just very quickly. I also wanted to call out that the Atlas Worlds connection graph is mobile friendly and responds to touch events, tap events, and we can still search and use the graph as if we were still utilizing it on our desktop one. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain to kind of move everything around and get it positioned just how you want it. And so what we've provided is a way to very quickly reorganize the entire graph and just kind of lay things out. Now, what we can do here is, again, selecting the cog, we can change the layout by selecting different options here. So a breadth-first approach is going to try to organize your entities according to the number of connections that they actually have. And so we can see that Jim Skymark currently has the most connections here, and so he becomes the very first item in this list. And then we can kind of scroll through. Now, another option is to just organize things into a grid, and we can see that everything just lays out very quickly. And then this option right here will actually very quickly organize all of our entities back into their groups. And so we can see that we've got, again, if we toggle on our group options, we've got all of our locations grouped together, we've got our characters, we've got our quests, and we've got our different items. Now, let's say that you also have a lot more entities than what I currently have here. I'm up to 15. And so I need to very quickly find the Dagger of Doom. I can't remember where it is, and I'm maybe zoomed out and I don't really know where to get to it. I can very quickly jump to it by actually coming up to our search and typing in Dagger. And this will allow me to select it, which will actually zoom into the Dagger of Doom and highlight that so that we can see the different connections. And so we can see that Captain Jim Skymark is the owner of the Dagger of Doom, and it was the quest reward given for the Danger at Foulweather Inn. And so these are just a couple of the things that we're super excited to share with you, and we're excited to see what people start building.